The second principle is develop a what you can control mindset. Again, develop a what you can control mindset. And once you've done that, you need to focus on it. Now, there are only two elements that you need to control in selling. The first is your attitude, and the second is your effort. So if we talk about attitude as a form of mindset, and your attitude is good, your mindset is going to be good as well. If, on the other hand, your attitude is indifferent, your mindset's going to be indifferent. And if your attitude's bad, I don't need to answer that. Because with your attitude, the effort you put into what you're doing will actually revolve around your attitude. So if your attitude is good, your effort will be good. And everything revolves around the mindset of attitude based on what you can do with your effort. And another factor that I want to bring up is salespeople are basically influenced by three things, and three things only. And this is important also for you to understand. It's all about the fear of failure, the fear of rejection or rejection itself, and the fear of the what if. Now you're saying to yourself, what does he mean by what if? You've said it so often. What if he says this? Or what if she says that? Or what if they don't like what I'm doing? What if they don't like me? What if they don't like the product or the service that I'm providing? Well, let me embellish that a little more, because the what if factor is such a powerful factor, and it brings in things like the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, or being rejected itself. That's what those average salespeople come up with, and it destroys them every time they start to think that way. On the other hand, the super seller, or the really top-end professional seller, senses failure coming in that presentation, and they feed off failure. They understand that studies show that you need at least 7 no's before you get a yes when asking for the order. Now, you could be asking for the order now, half an hour from now, whatever the situation is, because you may have to embellish and explain a few things. So realize that you need to fail. And this is where the professional comes in. The super professional super seller understands that if you fail, fail fast. Fail often. And anytime you hear any rejection whatsoever, and a no can be a rejection, it becomes fuel for the super seller to go to the next step. So many of us have read that little mnemonic that says, next opportunity for a no. Yep, you know what I'm talking about. No means next opportunity. But to a super seller, it's more than that. The no stands for a new offer. That's right. Every time you hear a no, give them a new offer. Because the no also says to the super seller that the prospect is not obligated to buy. So let me go through those three things as a no as well. No, everybody thinks of as next opportunity. No, it's deeper than that. No is now go to the next offer, because the prospect is not obligated to buy. Once you start getting that mindset, you won't start to fear failure, because you'll understand that you can fail fast, you can fail often. You won't actually get problems with rejection. You won't have the fear of rejection, because you'll use rejection as a fuel to move to the next level. And the what-if principle? Love the what-if principle. It's a mindset that is dragging you down. So forget that side of the mindset and start bringing in the positive mindset and start thinking like a super seller, and you'll find your selling will never, ever be the same again. While editing this video, I realized that there's something I said that could be misunderstood or even misconstrued. And that was the fact that you need to fail. You need to fail fast, and you need to fail often. Now, the reason the word fail was brought in those days was because we worked on the basis you need at least 7 no's before you got a yes. And that way, once you had those yeses and you went through that process, you were more likely to close the sale and close it effectively. So we call those fails. And that particular terminology stayed with me now for the rest of my life. It's something I find hard to change. And I realize there are people watching this video that have different generational ideas of what the selling process is all about. But the one thing I would suggest is you have a look at history, and the more you understand the history of sales, the more likely you are to sell a lot better. So realize that we can go from one step to another. You put up a new offer, and if they don't obligate that offer, there's no obligation. Well, it's simple. Put up a new offer. And if that's not obligated, then put up a new offer as well. So just keep it simple. Take it to the new offer. Take it to the fact that they're obligated. And once that happens, you've closed the sale. And if you use the system and appreciate that you might have 7 levels of obstacles or more to get past before you get the sale, the more likely you are to sell well and to sell often. Now, I want to share something very important here. In fact, I want to take some time out just to explain a few things, because I know I'm addressing a lot of people from different eras here. I'm addressing people from my era, and I've been selling for more than 50 years, and I know I'm also addressing people from the modern selling era. So there's a lot of things that have happened in between and a lot of generations in between. But what I want to bring to your attention is this. I know that I've said that you need to accept at least 7 no's in any sale before you get a yes. Now, that doesn't mean you've got to go to 7 premises one by one, 6 people say no, or 7 people say no, and on the 8th you get a yes. No, that's not what this is all about. What you need to understand is when I learnt this process, anything that was a substitute to a no, or any sidestep to a no, or any responsive sidestep, or when they didn't agree with you, or they wanted to think about it, or they wanted to get back to you, every one of those responses I always considered to be a no. So if you look back at everything that you've sold and you hear the amount of times that they've sidestepped you, or the amount of times that they responded the wrong way to you, or didn't agree with you, or said they wanted to think about it, or get back to you, or a host of other things as a response, well, that to me is a no. And I'd like you to accept that as saying you need to get a good 7 of those in any presentation before you will generally close the sale. And it's that important, and it's that much of a structure that it won't break. I don't see it changing, but a lot of other people would like it to change. And the only people that want it to change or don't change are the ones that don't sell every call, or the majority of calls. So remember that. Every time they express some opinion or something as a substitute to a no, or they sidetrack or respond the wrong way, or don't agree with you, or want to think about it, or want to get back to you, treat that as a no. Because remember, as the process goes, no opportunity, then what are the next 2 steps? Next offer. And what's the last step? They're not obligated. So give them another offer and keep giving them an offer until they are obligated. So let me just add to what I've just added regarding the 7 no's as the yardstick for what you should be looking for when you're out there selling, and how many no's you should be looking for, whether they're no's being said as a no or a disguised no, which gives you an alternative to the no. Now, remember how the process worked. A no stands for next opportunity. And when you hear that no, or an alternative to the no, or something very similar, you then put up a new offer. And you then, with that offer, will find whether or not they're obligated. And if they're not obligated, you then work out a way of getting another offer. And if they're still not obligated, another offer, and so on. Now, of all the things that I've sold over the past 56 years, possibly the best example I can give is what happened when I was selling Yellow Pages. Now, to the old school people, they know what a Yellow Pages telephone directory looked like, and they were aware of the different advertising sizes available within the telephone directory. Today, if you go on the internet and look up Yellow Pages, you'll also see different sized advertisements. And again, they are costs that the actual advertiser has to bear. So when I sold the Yellow Pages telephone directory, the main objective was to try and increase the size of the advertisement because it gave the advertiser a better response. And sometimes they would not want that particular size because it was too costly. So you then brought up another offer. And that next offer was either a smaller size or you would repackage what you've just suggested to them in different categories. So they would have display advertising in 2, 3, 4, 5 or 10 categories, whatever the case was. Many never went to that extent, but then you had other options. And the next option was that you could do cross-referencing, you could do smaller advertisements, you could do little box advertisement. So you had so many options to rely on. So instead of hearing a no, they would give you some other alternative to a no. And then you'd come up with a new offer. And you would keep coming up with new offers until they were obligated. Now, this was the beauty of the Yellow Pages. Once you got that obligation from them, you could then cross-sell. So you started selling other categories and other link points. By the end of what happened, by the time you walked out, you had so many different alternative units that you could apply to the first time you saw somebody or to the sale that you made. And that's where the profit was. So whatever you sell, remember, always bring in the next offer. When you hear anything that they sidestep or they're not interested in or they want to get back to you on, every one of those in my book is a straightforward no. And you need a new offer in order to counteract that no. Simple, isn't it?